This is Talk with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. 10:33 is the time. Let's get straight to my next guest. Lord George Foulkes is the Labour peer and former minister under Tony Blair. Wasn't everybody a former minister under Tony Blair that we talk about these days? Lord Foulkes, thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Good morning, Julia. Nice to be with you.
Lovely to speak to you. Interesting circumstances. Can I put the question to you that I'm putting to our audience today? Can Keir Starmer survive the Mandelson scandal? Do you think that he will follow Morgan McSweeney and resign?
I'll come to that, but I thought you might want to talk about the breaking news. The Prince and Princess of Wales have made a statement.
Well, I mean, they made it about 2 hours ago. I'd love to.
Very significant, because I tried to ask some questions about the then Prince Andrew in the House of Lords, and I was prevented from doing it because you can't ask any questions which reflect on the royal family.
Very interesting. Can we come back to that? Because I think
yes,
I 100% want to talk to you about Andrew, but
yes.
Can we start with the small matter of the Prime Minister?
Yes, okay.
So
no, I think he's going to stay, and rightly so. You see, the one thing that you're focusing on, Julia, is the decision to appoint Peter Mandelson. Now, at the time he was appointed, no one objected to it. Kemi Badenoch and all the...
Everyone objected to it.
No, not at the time.
No, they did. No, people were discussing it plenty at the time. What a terrible disaster it was.
No. In fact, you're wrong. You're wrong, Julia. If you look back, Nigel Farage said it was an inspired appointment. Michael Gove said it was the right thing. The former ambassador to the US, Lord Kim Darragh, said what a good appointment it was. And I saw Alex Burgart on TV yesterday, and he was asked repeatedly which of the shadow cabinet people appointed him at the time.
There were plenty of other people. Cabinet, other ministers and party leaders may not have, but there were plenty of people, including us on this show. My audience will testify to that. We were saying this was not a good appointment. That he was a bad appointment.
Well, a lot of people said it was a good appointment. I mean, I didn't think it was a good appointment, but I didn't say so at the time. But because of his previous situation and his couple of resignations. But I think some people like Farage and Gove and Kim Darragh thought it was a good appointment because he was the right kind of person to deal with the mercurial person in the White House with... But
either way, but hold on a minute. Either way, whatever, we already know what was in the public domain, not just about Mandelson's past, but also the fact that it was known at the time of his appointment that he had maintained his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein and had stayed at his home. That was known. It was certainly known to security services. There's no way in the world, whatever Keir Starmer, whatever information he and his advisors were given, that it would not have contained that information. Morgan McSweeney, in his resignation letter, says the decision to appoint Peter Mandelson was wrong. But the person who took that decision was not Morgan McSweeney. It was not Jonathan Powell, the National Security Advisor. It was the Prime Minister, based on the advice from his two advisors. One of those has gone. But if the decision was wrong, that's on Keir Starmer, isn't it?
But you haven't dealt with the question of why Nigel Farage thought it was an...
But it's irrelevant. Nigel Farage isn't Prime Minister. It's irrelevant.
But he wants to be Prime Minister.
Yes, but it's irrelevant. And then I will hold him to account when he is Prime Minister.
It is. You think it's irrelevant. I don't.
No, okay.
And Michael Gove.
Michael Gove is the editor of The Spectator. He's not the Prime Minister.
He's a former cabinet minister. And Kim Darragh, who used to be ambassador to the United States.
Yes, and he's a regular on the show. But George,
he thought it was a good appointment.
Fine, that's fine. And you said that 3 times. But the point is, it wasn't a good appointment. We now know that the people advising the Prime Minister say it wasn't a good appointment, and the Prime Minister has said it was a bad appointment. Why does Morgan McSweeney have to resign if it's a resigning matter, but not the man who made the actual decision?
I don't know why Morgan McSweeney had to resign. Maybe it's because you keep putting pressure on him, just as you're trying to put pressure on the Prime Minister to resign. I think he's doing a very good job. He's very well thought of around the world by world leaders. He's implemented 2/3 of the manifesto of the Labour Party. I think he's doing an excellent job.
Well, you say he's doing an excellent job. Why then is he the most unpopular Prime Minister in living memory in the polls. Why are so many Labour backbenchers saying, we're not sure we want to keep you? Why is he likely to face losing a by-election? Why is he facing, we're told, according to the polls, voters have to make their own minds up, losing the local elections, the Welsh Senate elections and the Scottish Parliament elections in May? Why, if he's really good at what he's doing and he's so good and so popular, why are all those things true?
Well, what, do you know we're going to lose the by-election? Do you know that?
I don't know. I don't know. But there seems to be the expectation from many in the party.
No, not at all. No, Keir Starmer is going to talk to the Parliamentary Labour Party at 6 o'clock today. As far as I know it, only a handful of MPs have come out publicly and said he should go. The vast majority recognise that he won the last election. He's got a mandate until the next election, and he should get on with the job. And I think they'll be saying that.
Well, I mean, a lot of people would say he should get on with the job, but that maybe if he didn't spend his time taking bad advice from people he's appointed who are the protégés of people who've had to resign twice.
You're dealing with just one thing. You probably know Peter Mandelson better than I do. Don't you? You go to some of the parties.
I don't go to parties with Peter Mandelson. He's been on my show once, and he's not a fan of me, and I'm not a fan of his.
Haven't you been to some of the London parties that he's been to from time to time?
No, I'm not aware. No, I'm not aware of ever having been at any event other than when I was a political editor.
I think a lot of the media people do go.
I'm sure they do. But I mean, someone else being another guest, but he's not someone that I would telephone or he would telephone me. No, never stayed in his house. Never gone on a private yacht with him. Never, sorry.
Same with me.
But here's the thing. You say we're just focusing on this. Here's the thing. When the Prime Minister thinks that the best appointment of our most senior diplomat in the world, a man who is going to have the highest level of security clearance because he's going to see access to defence, nuclear, I mean, goodness knows what level of massive levels of security vetting he needed. When he chooses to appoint a man who has had to resign twice already before in disgrace, who we know, and it was known at the time, the MI6 and others had been warning about his close links to Russians, Deripaska staying on his yacht. There was an issue with that when he was Trade Commissioner of the EU. His links with China. I remember discussing his links with China on my show when he was appointed and saying this was a bad appointment. The knowledge that he was busy mates, best pals with a man who had already got a conviction for soliciting a 14-year-old girl for prostitution. That tells us and by the way, a Prime Minister who had a teenage daughter at the time. That tells us this is not a man who makes good decisions.
Have you finished your monologue? Have you? Okay. You mentioned Russia. That's very interesting because who was it who appointed as their leader in Wales someone who is now in jail as a Russian spy?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an absolute outrage.
Who was it who, it was Boris Johnson who went on a Russian yacht. It was Boris Johnson.
Like Mandelson did, yeah.
It was Boris Johnson who appointed the son of a Russian spy to the House of Lords. And the House of Lords needs clearing up. Yeah,
completely outrageous. Yeah, and I have been critical of those things. But I hate to tell you, Lord Foulkes, you are deflecting somewhat. I mean, just because other people make a bad decision. Keir Starmer came into office saying that the grown-ups were in charge now. It was going to be a government of integrity. He was different. This was a different kind of premiership. And people like me who thought, I don't think this guy's going to be any good, but at least he might be vaguely competent and he's got some morals. Well, turns out neither is true.
When people put a counter-argument, you say they're deflecting. That's not true. You put your monologue, and I then
You're saying what about Nigel? I'm not defending what there's a man in prison quite rightly for what he was the Welsh leader of the reform. But but you've said that. But I'm asking you about the Prime Minister, the leader of your party.
But does that not throw doubts on someone who wants to be Prime Minister? Who claims...
We're not discussing Nigel Farage.
Why not? But
he
why
faces
not?
plenty of scrutiny.
Exactly.
What?
That is the point I'm trying to make. You concentrate. You keep going. Because the media seem to have a sort of circling like vultures to try and get rid of the Prime Minister, but won't give the same kind of scrutiny to someone who wants to be Prime Minister. But there's been
plenty of scrutiny of Nigel Farage, and the closer we get to a general election, the more... My good God, there are front pages about things he said in the playground when he was 16 years old. Of course there's scrutiny of Nigel Farage. The point is, Nigel Farage is not currently the Prime Minister of this country.
He wants to be Prime Minister. And
yes, but he is not currently the Prime Minister of this country.
Can I interrupt again? You grilled of your monologues, don't you? Now, why have you had him on your programme to put some of these serious questions to him? You haven't, have you?
Nigel Farage? He's not been on lately, no, but I absolutely would.
He doesn't go on any programme.
He goes on plenty of programmes, he answers plenty of questions. No, people are not focused on that because he's not the Prime Minister.
But he wants to be Prime Minister. And if you have your way, he may be Prime Minister.
What do you mean I have my way? I have no preference on who becomes the next Prime Minister. I have no party allegiance whatsoever. I just want someone to run the country, be any good. And I'm still in two minds about who that may be. Well,
I think Keir Starmer is doing a very good job.
You think a man who made the appointment of Lord Mandelson and that role is doing a good job?
One decision.
That's one decision. What about the U-turns? What about the U-turns? 13 U-turns?
For which he has apologised.
13 U-turns.
He's apologised.
13 U-turns.
You call them U-turns. What I say they are is listening to the views of his members of Parliament and the public and altering. Just as I was against the original decision on winter fuel allowance. I made representations, as did many others.
But why didn't he listen to them before he made the decisions?
Because the decision was made. People were unhappy about it.
No, that's not how you govern. Most of the decisions he had a U-turn on have not actually been, they were not mandated in his government manifesto. These were decisions taken by the boys in number 10, and then they're shocked that they're really unpopular with the public and with Labour backbenchers. He's had to backtrack on virtually everything he's tried to do because the truth is he doesn't really believe in anything, does he?
No, you've just propounded another myth, another untruth about the boys in number 10, who are now the two joint chiefs of staff.
Two women.
10.
Well, they're appointed. They're acting. They're acting chiefs of staff.
What gender are they? They've been deputy chiefs of staff. They've been there.
They've done a great job.
Joint chiefs of staff. What gender are they, Julia? What gender?
I already said they're women.
Exactly.
Oh well, so well done him.
But why do you go on about?
I couldn't care less.
Yes, you do. You went on about the
boys. They are largely, as all governments have always been, they are largely boys in number 10. I'm talking about boys, meaning his little coterie of advisors, the guys, the boys, including women.
They're girls. They're boys, even if they're girls. I see.
Guy, you use the term guy. Oh, for goodness sake. You know perfectly well. Yeah, what I love about this, George Foulkes, I love that you're coming out to defend the Prime Minister, but what is fascinating is your defence is constantly, but look over here, as opposed to the decisions he made. No. But also, why are Cabinet Ministers not coming out and defending him? Why do they have to send out a junior minister in Jackie Smith to defend the Prime Minister today? If everyone's so supportive of him, why are they not all putting out statements fully supportive of the Prime Minister?
But they are. They're making it clear they do support him.
No, they're not.
Of course they are.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not volunteering to do the media round.
Have you spoken to any?
I know a lot of them, but they're not on the media. They're not. They are not.
Have you spoken to any?
No, they are not. Where are they? Have you got a statement from any of them this morning? No, not one. Not one.
Who was doing the rounds yesterday morning? Pat McFadden.
Before the resignation.
He's a cabinet.
Before the resignation.
But you say cabinet ministers aren't out, and
I asked that this morning. That was yesterday. It was 24 hours ago.
Oh yes. Have you asked? Who have you asked?
I admire you for this, George. I really do. All credit to you. All credit to you for trying. I'm not entirely convinced my audience are going to be convinced themselves, though.
Well, I do my best, and I'm convinced that he's doing a very good job, and I'm convinced that you are one of the vultures. Certainly, because you want to scalp. You want to scalp. You want to say, "Hey, we've got rid of a prime minister. Aren't we wonderful?" And
no, I couldn't. I mean, I don't. I want integrity and competence and honesty in public office. And I felt that way about Boris Johnson and about David Cameron and about Theresa May and about Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. As my audience can testify over the years, I'm an equal opportunities requirer of integrity and competence in public office. I don't care. If it was my own brother, I would still want them out of office if I didn't think they could exercise those qualities.
Which of those Tory prime ministers do you think were competent?
Definitely not Boris Johnson. Definitely not Liz Truss. No, none of them. No, maybe David Cameron for a while, but then it turned out he didn't have integrity. But there we are. He was the most competent of the lot, yeah, I would say. But
No,
apart from the whole, let's just open up the entire
Tony Blair
world
and Gordon Brown, two very competent prime ministers.
Tony Blair was competent, absolutely. The trouble with
Gordon Brown.
No, I don't think Gordon Brown was. I don't think he was competent. I think the evidence is pretty clear on that from the public as well. Right, we're going to have to leave it there because we're way over time. But I mean, all credit to you making the effort though on that, George. Lord Foulkes, Labour Peer, former minister under Tony Blair, chuckling away through that. Benedict Spence.
That was magnificent. He's more evasive than me when I found myself at a party with Peter Mandelson. I mean, that was incredible. But I mean, yeah, he put up a good fight. But I think it didn't really convince anybody. I mean, it's nice to know that somebody still thinks the Prime Minister is doing a good job.
I think I did go to a party Lord Mandelson had when he was Northern Ireland Secretary, but you went to those parties because they were government ministers and you were a political editor.
Yeah, I don't actually, I can't remember the last time I was at, I think it was at one, and Grayson Perry was there as well. Was it a good party this weekend? What did you get up to this weekend?
I did have a party this weekend. We're all recovering. 10:49 is the time. We're going to take a break. We're going to talk about what the hell, in fact, annoyingly, we got sidetracked. We didn't get on to the issues with Andrew, which George Foulkes did want to talk about, but we are going to talk about Andrew up next with Dickie Arbiter, the former press secretary to the late Queen.